Hello, Jess. I've had some time to think about our last meeting, and you asked one very poignant question about uh, how vocational programs would work and how it would help someone with high function needs uh, like mine. Well, I can tell you from a perspective of, say, a client of one of those places because I came from that. I came from a place called Peak Vocational Services, and that was in Lethbridge. Now, how it started with me, if I remember correctly, is that way at the beginning when I was assessed, there was me and about, I guess, six people in the room. There was me and my roommate companion at the time, and as well as PDD staff, and as well as about two or three others that were in Peak itself. Now, a part of the assessment had to do with my diagnosis. A part of it also had to do with whether or not I could be a right fit for the program, where I wanted to be in life, and what my history was like. They really wanted to get to know me. And for that, that equaled them and me communicating on a face to face level. Now, a part of that also dealt with my interests, where I saw myself in, say, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Then from there, for the first while, I was getting hands on training to learn how to use the bus system in Lethbridge and how to get around and, a lot of community stuff. And then after that, I was included in on their other programs, which a person got paid for. Uh, in other words, if you went out in the community and got carts, you got X amount of dollars at the end of the month. If you did flyers, you got X amount of dollars. Uh, and the list goes on. Whatever they had going on as, say, extra income for the clients, then that's what they would do. Then there was home-based environments for which workers would come in and teach you the proper ways on, say, if you didn't know how to cook, you would learn how to cook. All of these things you need in order to function on a normal level, as in be independent. Now, so, moving forward, they got me into the actual world of work and employment. And I did security for 12 years through commissionaires in Lethbridge. My boss now is long dead, but he was the best boss I ever had. Uh, I would never go back to it because security has this way of having their favorites, and quite often it's a male dominated kind of thing. But I can tell you that with a community of workers working together, not ones that know your diagnosis, but a program that also works with the person and the diagnosis, then all your issues are addressed. So if you have behavioral issues, it gets addressed through means of properly trained staff that know what to expect, or at least somewhat know what to expect because of experience and or proper schooling and training that is needed in order to be with someone like me. The other part of it would be, say, if someone wanted to get hired into that program and they have issues themselves. Well, that is a choice some participants actually make. I know of several people that still work there that were once like me, participants, and some of them did office work, some of them did uh, things like they actually became workers, as in staff to help people with disabilities. Others became something else. And these opportunities are open, and it should be hired within, and it should go to people with disabilities first. If you're going to hire or make a place that deals with disability, shouldn't it be also made so that people with disabilities also can be hired on as staff? I think so. I mean, like, who better to help you than somebody who actually has a disability? That's my view. because then not only can you understand the person that you're trying to help, but you're also um, being understood by the person themselves, like the client, because they see you as a person, not the, and you see the person that you're helping as a person as well, because you're kind of cut from the same cloth, so to say. Especially if it concerns invisible disabilities such as autism and ADHD. And if you're high functioning like me, it's a rough gambit in trying to find right staff or right resources, the right people. And you come to a town and there's nothing. Unless if you're a child with severe needs or an adult with severe needs or more apparent needs, yeah, there's nothing. And what I wish is for programs like this to come to Edmonton, as in have the same resources that I had in Lethbridge here. Because for someone like me, that equals having a job or at least an opportunity. That equals having a safe place to go and not be judged. That means having all your needs met instead of floundering and hoping for better. I don't know about you, but if someone offered me that, give me about 2 seconds and I'll tell you reasons why I'd be stupid enough not to accept it. Because the world that they give you and the world I have now are like oranges and apples. You know, two different ball games. One, you're not getting the help you need. The other, you do. One, you succeed in life. The other, you don't. One, you have all the criteria you need in order to facilitate, say, stupid ideas that you need to bounce off a worker's head. And if they say that's a bad idea, you don't do it, right? Well, sometimes someone needs that and they don't want a counselor. They don't want a psych telling them whatever, or what's your problem today, or here's your drugs. You know, like, I don't want that. I'd rather be not medicated. I'd rather have someone to bounce my ideas off of rather than being treated like a moron for the rest of my life, which is basically what's going on. Um, like, I go into just about any program or anything like that, I am treated like I'm an absolute futz, right? Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe because I don't know what it's like to, I don't understand or what it's like to be neurotypical. And it's hard to describe what it's like to be disabled unless you walk in my world for a day. I mean, to walk in my world and to be blind to the nuances that society throws at you and expects you to act or do the way they do, but yet you can't because you don't know the rules. It's like playing a game without instructions on how to play it. You're just expected to do it. And if you do it wrong, you're penalized. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. But for someone like me, sometimes rules are big. And when you have rules set in stone and you can see and hear all the rules, and you have a better chance. And that's what vocational programs are for. And they're also for educating employers and advocating on behalf of the person or persons that they help in order for them to get meaningful employment and a better quality of life. They're not there to wipe your ass or hold your hand. They're not there to be your friend. They're there to help you become more than what society deems you should be or what professionals think you should be. And they give you pride and a sense of well-being that no program here in Edmonton can ever do, because it takes staff that are trained and people that understand, or at least try to if they don't. It takes an open mind. It takes, you know, because it doesn't matter the disability, it doesn't matter the person. Issues not only change with age, but disabilities are different clear across the board. It doesn't matter if you have dyslexia or autism. It's going to be different for everybody, but yet everyone wants this pretty little painted box for everybody's butt to fit in, when I might have some symptoms of this disability and Joe Schmuck over here might have symptoms of another disability, because all disabilities are similar but way different in many ways. And there is no real box that you can fit someone like me into, let alone any other disability, unless if you have seen or more apparent issues, like, say, a blind man with a cane, or someone that can't talk very well and has autism and couldn't carry on a conversation, or someone that is, say, of a functionality of a 5-year-old. You know, these people are easy to service because they don't understand. So therefore, they go along with whatever game you're throwing at them. But someone like me who would understand those rules and would rebel if, or not rebel, but certainly put their foot down if they don't agree with it because they understand, are treated like dirt. I mean, our accessibility is denied just how on the basis of how we sound or look, and that's not right. Our Because we are the way we are, we're expected to be like everyone else, but yet the underlying factor is behavioral issues that might be indicative of whatever age your mind matured at. So, say if you're 16 mentally, are you going to ask that 16-year-old to go out in the world and survive and succeed without knowing the rules or having some kind of thing in place to help them along? I don't know. That seems a little bit off to me. uh, for one, if I ever had kids, I would never leave a 16-year-old on their own to begin with because, well, 16-year-olds get themselves into a lot of trouble. And I hate to say this, but me and my disability have gotten me into more trouble than I wish to even admit. And I've had 20 years of thinking about things like this, where services and programs should be implemented and left alone along with PDD by government hand, because it is a needed commodity. It is a needed resource for someone like me. You cannot ask someone like me to run the gambit that you do and succeed without having their issues being thrown in their face, such as happened to me in the last 21 years. That's not fair. That's not right. And frankly, I tire of it. It's not a game I want to play. And it's time to change things up. I hope this sort of helps. If you have more questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Um, the other thing is that I've also had 20 years to think about where this kind of thing would do best at. And I truly think that it would do best in an empty old uh, building that's not being used. Uh, Prime example would say be like the old Royal Alberta Museum that's down on the Stony Plain area there. Or say a building that's simply just not being used or utilized that could be put to use for a disability program, because there are different facets to these programs. One is work environment, one is or work training environment, hands-on. The other is offices for these people that are helping us, or people like me. And then the other facet is a place for maybe where people like me can learn on a hands-on way on how to become a worker, or how to be better people. Because this deals in all facets of a person's life, like where they would hang out, say at a restaurant or a mall, like in the community, or how to facilitate their own needs at home instead of playing tea in some building and watching videos on how to do it, you get shown how to do it. Hands on, right there. Then on top of that, there is the work environment for where you get trained. Like, say, it could be a thrift shop, like I said, or it could be kind of like an art studio, kind of like uh, the Nina Haggerty on 118 here, but a vocational service program which provides through means of whatever things necessary to facilitate the place. Another could be cart collecting in town, where the program could have a bunch of vehicles and they go around town collecting carts, or they deliver flyers to homes, or they um, do other things like paper sorting for recycling, all these. Or they could have a bottle recycling plant in the building. All of these things could be a part of it so that it's a safe environment for which a person is trained, both in the environmental way but also social, because these places act as both as a social hub and as well as a work hub for both parties. It's more than just a program or just another program. It's a service that individualizes each person for their needs and abilities, and it's based on interest and diagnosis and age and ability. You're not going to ask a person in a wheelchair to stand up at a till when they have no ability to do so. Much like me, if I was at a till and you asked me to make change, yeah, the only changing I'm going to do is change my route and walk out, because math to me sucks. It's boring. And for me, I don't do well in selling type environments. I'm more of the one to one kind of helper girl, the one that can teach a person how to clean a home or how to manage in the non mathematical ways, where, say, if a person wants to learn how to cook, I can teach them how to cook. If they want to learn how to clean, I can teach them how to clean. I can even teach them how to find work in areas that nobody would ever think of looking. Um, I've had to do things that allowed me to survive and have food before I had age, where I would look for people that needed house cleaning. Would you know where to look for that? I do. Would you know where to look to find caregiving type things, where a person, say, if they lived on their own but they couldn't walk, so you had the need of a caregiver like me who knew how to do most things in HCA? Heaven forbid there's actually people like me out there. Guess what? I know how to do all that, but I also know where to look for these people. I also know where to look for nanny care, or if the person wanted to do that, or I also know how to look for things like pet sitting jobs. You know, I've been, because I could never find the so called traditional job because they would never hire me without a vocational program, I made my own work. Always have. No matter the town I lived in, I found my own work. Uh, and that being said, I'm also outside the box thinker. If I come across a problem, I fix it. If I see a problem, I do my best to help whoever is having the problem to fix it. And for me, that's the joy, helping people become better or do better, uh, or having the time to help someone that is worse off than you will ever be in a lifetime. Yeah, sure, I have what I have, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do. What I'd like to do is stop surviving and start living, and be in a place in my life where I don't have to beg, steal, and borrow just to have food on my plate tomorrow. I want one place that I can go to, one place that I can help many, but also do it through means of one person at a time. And that's exactly what Pete does. I hope this helps.